Well, with me here on set now is Amicie Pélissié, who's from the Catholic media group CathoVoice, which is now setting up here in France as well, known as CathoVoice. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us today. Are these measures going to be enough to sort out the problem, do you think? Because the issue of sexual abuse by priests has been a big story, not just here in France, but right around the world as well.
I think before assessing these measures and the impact that they will have, which I hope will be a positive impact, we must always remember the indignation and the shock and the scandal of these affairs. And I'm talking for myself here, but, as young Catholics, we learn to trust priests and to see them as father figures. And I have a younger brother who's a Boy Scout. I can't even imagine what would have happened if this kind of tragedy had happened to him. So I think, these measures need always to be reassessed and confronted to what victims have to say and to their stories of survivors and their tragedies.
That's the problem, is it? It is that question of trust which has been broken. There's been a lot of calls for this cardinal involved, Cardinal Barbarin, accused of covering up the cases, that he should go. But I know you don't actually believe that, do you?
I don't believe he should go as, a step or a necessary step or measure to be taken right now. I think he himself repetitively said, denied he'd covered the abusers, and he's actually one of our most active bishops in France against pedophilia in his diocese, and he's known for working with the justice and the police. I think light should be made on all this, and of course investigations have to be carried out, and if anybody's guilty, that person will have to go. But
it gives the impression, though, doesn't it, that the Catholic Church isn't really responding strongly enough because he's still there?
Well, I think the fact that he's still there means that he's got responsibility, and he's actually the one person who may be able to tackle one of the biggest flaw, I believe, in the system right now, which means that if an offence has been committed and if the victim doesn't speak out in the next 20 years, I think, then there's what we call prescription, which means that justice can't do anything for you. Too bad. It's as if it never happened to you. And Barbarin said this is one of the biggest tragedies, and he wants to see if there's something perhaps in church law that can be done to make sure that those priests like perpetrators are punished.
Can the Catholic Church ever really move on from this? For example, just last week, the Church was accused of being indifferent to this after another bishop came under attack, refusing to describe paedophilia as a sin.
I think pedophilia is a sin, and that bishop then explained himself, and all our three latest popes have condemned it in the most serious words possible. I think the measures that have been announced yesterday contribute towards building a safer environment for the future, and that's certainly what we want to see for our church for the future. I'm young, and I don't want to see what happened in the past to happen again in society or in the church.
And do you think right as well that historical cases of child abuse are brought to the fore and that people are punished for what they may well have done?
Of course, and I think that's maybe one of the most important points of what's been announced yesterday, together with this independent commission headed by a layperson, the fact that historic cases will be investigated, and of course everybody in the church has to collaborate to ensure that this has a very positive impact.
And is there any way, finally, that the Catholic Church can say this will never happen again?
Well, we're talking about human beings here, so you can't really say, I will never again sin. All I'm hoping is that we can say we're working to make sure that this never happen again. And we've certainly heard so many, horrible things that none of us want to see something like that happen ever again. And all I've heard from priests and bishops over the past weeks is, talks of compassion and the need to listen to the victims. And I think if we put the need to listen to the victims at the center of any approach to this crisis, then, we're on the right track.
Amicie Pélissié, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us from the organisation here in France called CathoVoice.